we are moving towards our next participant, or our honorable speaker, Dr. Ulrich Berk. Are you listening, sir? My voice
Yes,
is
I am.
yes. Can we start?
Sure, we can.
You okay, sir?
I'm just starting my presentation. Okay. So thank you, Samyak, for invitation. Thanks for organizing the whole thing. I know it was not easy today because of these problems with internet and rains and so on. But okay, happy to see that in the end it worked. Today, I'm talking about Agnihotra and its role for yoga and our mind. Often people, especially in the West, they see yoga just as some physical exercises. But indeed, there are many different branches of yoga, and the common goal of all of them is to still our mind, to achieve inner peace and harmony, so that we ultimately become united with our true nature. And now, recent studies have shown that air pollution affects people's intelligence, and that affects our well-being, our minds, and that definitely will also make it more difficult to get in a relaxed state of concentration, which is necessary for both yoga and meditation. So is there anything what we can do ourselves to reduce these pollution levels? There's one method, it's called Agnihotra, a healing fire coming from the Vedas, the ancient most knowledge of mankind, which purifies the atmosphere and thus positively affects our mind. Longtime meditators said when sitting in Agnihotra atmosphere, they reach a deep state of meditation within minutes, which normally takes them half an hour or so. In this presentation, I will describe this method and explain some of the effects. So, one important aspect of all the different branches of yoga is the atmosphere which surrounds us. And although this atmosphere has a tremendous effect on our mind, and thus on all techniques meant to bring about a change in our mind, it has widely been neglected so far. And that's astonishing because already in the Vedas, methods to purify our atmosphere were given. And also it was mentioned that the basic tool, Agnihotra, is one of the daily duties of a householder, a nitya karma. And nowadays, the necessity is even more because pollution of the atmosphere through harmful bacteria, chemicals, particles, pollution of the soil, pollution of our water resources, even pollution, nuclear radiation, all these pollutions are very much present all over the planet. And the origin of all forms of pollution is thought pollution, because a person with a clear mind would not pollute his environment, would not pollute Mother Earth. So then one more thing of pollution is thought pollution. All our thoughts and emotions leave some imprint in our atmosphere. They remain there like subtle objects which most of us cannot see, but still they have an effect on our mind. Negative thoughts like anger, greed, violence, the six crocodiles, which Barry mentioned, all these influence, they are not there just for the moment when we have them, but they will stay in the room for some time. And this thought energy even has an effect on plants. An experiment done at Pantnagar Agricultural University, the oldest agricultural university in India, showed that higher germination rates happen when the seeds are kept for a few days in a room where regular meditation was going on. So this thought energy can even be, it cannot be measured maybe, but you see the effects on plants, you can detect the effects. Now, many methods like yoga, meditation help to reduce the effects of thought pollution on our mind. But what if we could deal with the root cause of the problem, that is our polluted environment, which interferes with the flow of prana? And that is exactly what Agnihotra and therapy do. How does it work? What is the opus operandi? With therapy, we purify our atmosphere, our environment. And it's said that by inducing a change in the atmosphere, you bring about change in functioning of prana, of the life energy. And that then has very beneficial effects on our mind, as prana and mind are like two sides of the same coin. You see it here. Prana immediately has an effect on the mind, and also mind has an effect immediately on prana. Now, what can we do to improve our mental situation, how to work on the mind? It is difficult to work with the mind itself on the mind. So how can we work on prana and then affect the mind? That we can do through the help of atmosphere, because atmosphere regulates the flow of prana. So if we purify the atmosphere, then the flow of prana is harmonized, and immediately we go an effect on our mind. And how to do that, how to influence the atmosphere? The answer is Agnihotra. Here you see some people performing Agnihotra. This photo was taken, by the way, in Chile, in Santiago de Chile. Many people there were performing Agnihotra. And Agnihotra, what is this tool? It's the smallest basic healing fire tuned to the biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. And what you need is, first thing, you need this copper pyramid of fixed size and shape. Then you need some dried cow dung. It has to be pure cow dung, not mixed with buffalo. By the way, some people think it has to be from desi cows. That is not so. Of course, desi cows, they are better, but with other cows, also possible to perform Agnihotra, because in the West, we don't have these desi cows normally, and still Agnihotra works. Then also we need some ghee, some clarified cow's butter, again purely from cows, not mixed with buffaloes or other animal butter. Some grains of unbroken pieces of rice, some mantras, and a timetable of sunrise and sunset. Why do we need exact timing? Why do we need these mantras? That is because it is said that at sunrise, a flood of subtle energies comes from the sun to the planet, and this flood of energies has a subtle music in it. And the quintessential sound of that music is the mantras which we utter at that time. Therefore, we have kind of resonance effect, and this leads to the big effect of Agnihotra. Interesting to see that some American astrophysicists gave this description of sunrise and sunset, and he said that at sunrise, million ampere currents head in towards sunrise and again head out at sunset. So modern science confirms what this ancient science said about sunrise. Here is another example that was done by some physicists from Eastern Europe, and they had instruments to measure subtle energy, and they found out that exactly at the time of sunrise, there was a big increase, you see the graph, big increase in these subtle energies. So the mantras we utter at that time, it's 2 mantras in the morning, 2 mantras in the evening. In the morning, it's Suryaya Swaha, Suryaya Idam Namama, Prajapataye Swaha, Prajapataye Idam Namama. And after swaha, you add one portion of rice to which you add a little bit of ghee to the fire. So in the evening it's Agnaye swaha, Agnaye idam namama, Rajapataye swaha, Rajapataye idam namama. By the way, you have to do the offering with the right hand. Now my my image is changed, reversed. So that is my right hand. So I showed it with the left hand, so you see it as being done by the right hand. What happens after Agnihotra? It is said that a channel is created throughout all the atmosphere, and prana energy, life energy, comes down through this channel, and an aura energy field is created around all plants. All plants get nutrition, they get disease resistant. When the flame dies, all this energy is coming back and it's collected in the Agnihotra ash. This is why we can use the ash for healing, for our plants, and so on. What are the effects now? Mainly the effects are purification of the atmosphere, of the environment, atmosphere, soil, water resources, effects on plants, also on human health, including psychotherapy, drug addiction, and so on. And I just want to give a few examples. For the atmosphere, pathogenic bacteria are reduced. You can see here very easily. 2 petri dishes were open for 10 minutes, one before Agnihotra, the left one, and the right one after Agnihotra. And you see immediately the reduction in bacteria of the air, which is for the moment very important because it also reduces particles in the air. And these viruses like coronavirus, they are attached to particles. So if particles are reduced, there will be also less bacteria and viruses in the air. So the risk of getting infected will be less. But that's a different topic. So Agnihotra also has beneficial effects on the soil, like water holding capacity of soil increases, water solubility of phosphorus increases, beneficial microbes are increasing, and harmful microbes, they are being controlled. Then both acidic soil as well as alkaline soil come back to normal. What happens to water? Drinking water can be cleaned. High salinity, high acidity water from well is brought back to normal. Like one example, pH was 9.5, came down to 7.2 just in a couple of months. And even whole rivers show some improved water quality in the vicinity of Homa places, which we have seen, for example, in our Homa therapy, Goshala, Maheshwar, in MP, which is close to the Narmada River. Also, there are subtle aspects, referring to the energy level of water, which improve. And this you can easily see on this slide. This is a method which one Japanese scientist has developed, Dr. Emoto, and he took water drops and shock froze them and then made photos. And you see left side water from tap water from Tokyo in Japan, really not very nice quality. And then after adding Agnihotra ash, you had all these nice crystals. You see on a more subtle level, the water quality improves a lot. Now, what about human health? Today, after a long time, even conventional medicine accepts that our mind is connected with our physical well-being. And therefore, it's not surprising that purifying the atmosphere by Homa therapy, thus inducing a beneficial change in our minds, also has tremendous healing effects on our physical and mental body. Just some examples: blood pressure will be regulated, asthma can be healed, diabetes, depression, and so on and so on. If you want to know more about these healings, you can go to this webpage, www.homahealth.com. I just want to give one example. Blood pressure. This was a simple thing. People were asked to sit for Agnihotra, and blood pressure was taken before Agnihotra and after Agnihotra. And you see, those with high blood pressure came down. Those with low blood pressure, it came up. So blood pressure is being regulated. And that's very important because people with high blood pressure, especially, they have to take medicine normally for the rest of their lives. And these drugs have negative side effects. And if you can use Agnihotra to control blood pressure, then that could be really a big help for healthier and happier life. Another big example of how Agnihotra helps in medicine, that was this catastrophe in Bhopal when the Union Carbide factory exploded and MIC gas was released, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people died, and tens of thousands of people were heavily affected, had health problems. But all those who were doing Agnihotra in their homes, nothing happened to them. That was big news at that time in national newspapers in India. One more important point is stress and anxiety. Dr. Barry Rathner at the beginning said that whom do you know without stress and anxiety? And he said, okay, maybe you can count them with the fingers of your two hands. So it's a big problem. And but we have seen in different experiments how Agnihotra helps. That was the first experiment was done in Moscow several years ago, and it showed that anxiety was reduced. You see, the red bars are anxiety before, the white one after Agnihotra. You see a big reduction. Same with depression. Depression before, it was the black bars, depression after the green bars. Big reduction. Another experiment was done in Chile. That was very interesting because that was a blind experiment. The people who were examined, they didn't know that they were close to Agnihotra. This was done at the medical university, and the students of medicine, before a very difficult examination, they had very high stress level. And so from those people who were tested, 24 with the highest stress level were selected, and two groups were formed. And both groups were invited for a Tai Chi lesson. One group had Tai Chi and stress level went down. Good. The other group also had Tai Chi, but in the room next door, Agnihotra was performed, and stress level went down much more. So that was a significant difference between those who just had Tai Chi and those who had Tai Chi next to Agnihotra. Of course, that was not ideal. Ideal would have been if Agnihotra would have been performed in the room itself, but people wanted to exclude placebo effect, so they had it next door. Even better would have been if all the students would have performed Agnihotra themselves. That will be another experiment we will see. You see the graphics, and interesting is the stress level was measured by a questionnaire, one thing, but also by checking the cortisol level in the saliva. So it is an objective method, and all these mental possibilities of some wrong result were excluded, like placebo effect and so on and so on. This is an interesting thing also, Kirlian photography, before and after, and you see the energy coming out of the fingertip. At the left side, there are a lot of interruptions, which means that the energy flow is somehow blocked. On the right side, you see the energy flows nearly harmoniously around all the finger. Here, the same thing with the depressed person. Before Agnihotra, there were big holes in the aura around the finger. And then after Agnihotra, just after Agnihotra, 3 minutes, much, much, much better. So Agnihotra has an immediate effect. One more thing, somebody in Moscow, Russia, took EEG before Agnihotra and after Agnihotra. And you see, before Agnihotra, beta brain waves were dominant. Beta brain waves were 70, alpha 17, and then theta brain waves, which indicate some level of relaxation, like meditation level, were very less. After Agnihotra, beta came down from 70 to 22. Alpha went up from 17 to 56, nearly 57. Now alpha waves, which indicate a relaxed state of being, they were the dominant brain waves, and theta waves went up to 20% also. That shows a very, very big difference just by performing Agnihotra in the brain waves. And that again, that is something you can objectively measure. There's less error like would you have in using some questionnaire. So all our endeavors of practicing yoga are supported by performing Agnihotra. Our atmosphere is filled with love and peace. This leads to more clarity of mind. Our health is improved. Meditation is easier. The purified atmosphere helps to still the mind. And that is the ultimate aim of yoga. Agnihotra is a big support to get that aim. There are some references. If you are interested, I could send to you. This is my contact. The email address, dgit@homatherapy. It's the German spelling, mind. The web page, and some international web pages, also homahealth.com, homatherapyindia.com, and homatherapy.org. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing your knowledge, Agnihotra, its role in yoga, and our. We have learned so many things from your session, and you are also president of German Homa Therapy, and you are presently working or researching in the field of Homa Therapy all over the worldwide, in India and it's abroad too. And thank you so much, sir, for presenting your knowledge to us. And I hope I will request you to remain with us during webinar. And now we will move